So it's Friday, and you all know what that means. That means, as you know, we have AEW Rampage back in its original day, but not the right timing. But it doesn't matter because we have some excellent matches taking place that are, of course, before we head to Double or Nothing this coming Sunday. And then we're going to find out who is going to level up on this latest episode of NXT Level Up. But also, I'm going to remind everybody there will be no news updates. I've been unable to, of course, keep up with the time due to certain things I had to do. But that's okay. We'll do that at some time, either with by doing a news update by itself or adding whatever I had on the news updates onto the next episode. So we'll see which comes first. But as of right now, let's get started with another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everybody, welcome to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world. Pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos if we talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also do more news updates. If I'm unable to put it on this episode, I can put it on a separate video by itself. We also do real-timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also do the Nagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool things as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions are set aside, and I believe this is going to be a very short, of course, episode here for all of you with just 2 reviews, but even shorter as possible. But let's get started with, of course, AEW Rampage. Okay, AEW Rampage. As you know, we are getting closer and closer to Double or Nothing, of course, reaching 5 years of AEW since their first pay-per-view. I will never forget those. But that is, of course, at another time. But right now, it opened up with Pac, as you know. He faces against Rocky Romero. Now, of course, this is one of those matches, of course, that we see Pac getting back on his groove after coming up short to take on when he took on Okada for the Continental Crown Championship. But of course, he was annoyed by the Bang Bang Gang. However, you would think that this match would have been, of course, a direct message for the Bang Bang Gang by Pac. Well, you probably would think so too. But it only took a brutalizer by Pac to put away Rocky Romero. But as soon as the match was over, as you know, Pac made a promo at the post-match, of course, declaring that him and the rest of his hermanos, his amigos, Death Triangle or Triángulo de la Muerte, they will be challenging for the Unified World Trios title. So that's going to be interesting to say that. Now, as soon as this match was over, of course, once again, the Learning Tree decided to, of course, to talk about Hook and Shibata over, of course, the match ended in a double win submission and all that. But, of course, Shibata had enough of this nonsense, decided to come out. Big Bill tried to confront him, but he ended up getting his butt whooped. And then, of course, Jericho, unaware to him, he was, of course, sneaked attack by, of course, none other than Hook when he put him in a red rum, and this entire feud went all the way to the back. But however, of course, Hook and Shibata were interviewed by Renee Paquette about this whole thing. And as soon as, of course, this thing was getting on the way, Samoa Joe decided to give a peace of mind to Hook and all that. Of course, Samoa Joe thinks that right now, because this whole thing with Jericho, he feels that Hook hasn't learned a thing. So, is he right? Well, we'll find out this coming Sunday. But however, it did not end very nice. It kind of ended very funny when, of course, when Shibata goes out, if I win, I'm gonna go see Carrot Top. He's really funny. I mean, I never seen Carrot Top's how do I say, his shows, but I hear that they're real fun. So we'll see about that. Now, anyway, speaking of Samoa Joe, he decided to get in the ring with a guy named Dom Kubrick. However, you can guess that this was a squash match. Well, it kind of did. It just ended in a muscle buster match and a muscle buster move, and just like that. So, I mean, forgive me for letting the guy try. But anyway, moving on. Renee does another interview with Deonna Purrazzo. As you know, those two will be. Apparently, there was going to this whole thing between her and Thunder Rosa has reached its point. So in a way, Deonna Purrazzo decided to settle this at Double or Nothing in the buy-in. Now, I'm sure many of you probably are not big fans of that, but I will review that one anyway in case anybody wants to know. Now, our next match, we have Roosh, who has made his return, taking on Isaiah Cassidy. Now, you know the old saying goes, you mess with the bull, you get the horns. Isaiah Cassidy, from my understanding, from what people are saying, he was saying some remarks about Roosh, but don't ever say remarks about the bull. Anyway, Roosh could have finished this off, but he chose to punish Isaiah Cassidy. Now, you would say, well, he deserved it, I mean, if I was in the ring with Roosh, I would keep my mouth shut and just get it over with. But Isaiah had opened his big fat mouth. That's what he gets. But, of course, Roosh won when he gave him the bull's horn, and just like that, it was over. Now, Arkaby of that new interviewer in the backstage interview talked with Brian Cage and the Gates of Agony. Of course, Brian Cage doesn't think that Anthony Bowens pushed him to his limits because he beat him. I mean, he did push him his limits. We're not going to lie about that. So now they're calling themselves the Cage of Agony. So I don't know. But we'll see what happens. Now, our main event, we have Chris Statlander and, of course, Willa Nightingale, the former TBS champion and the current. They take on Alex Windsor, who makes her debut, teams up with Anna Jay. Now, I thought this match was pretty interesting, especially when it comes to Alex Windsor. Now, have you guys ever seen her? She had made appearances in Tokyo Pro Wrestling in the past. She even appears in Rev Pro and whatever promotion in the UK. And of course, in real life, if you guys know this or not, she is Will Ospreay's wife. Yes, folks, they are married, and Will Ospreay has a stepson from her. I mean, from a previous marriage. Long story short, her husband died a long time ago. None of the details were told, but I have to say it was very impressive that she made her way over here. I mean, I don't know exactly what Will Ospreay did, but I have to say it was great for fans, of course, to get a little AEW fans to get a little piece of Alex Windsor. But I have to say, she and Anna Jay did a pretty good job teaming up. But however, it was, of course, Windsor that ended up on the wrong side of Dr. Bomb by Willa Nightingale, winning the match for her team. But of course, all hell broke loose. Like any time we get closer and closer and closer to a pay-per-view, that's when Mercedes Moné showed up and decides to send a direct message to Willa Nightingale telling her she will be beating her for the TBS belt. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of talk about this particular match. I know some of you want to see Mercedes Moné win this belt. I mean, it'll be the shortest reign for Willow, but we'll just wait and see. So we'll see what happens in Double or Nothing. But as of right now, we'll just end things like this right now with Rampage and move on with our last and final review, NXT Level Up. Okay, our last review, who's gonna level up on this latest episode of NXT Level Up? Well, let's find out. Our first match, we have Jasmine Nix versus Lene Reed. This one they call her, dub her the Southern Belle, something similar like we saw with Lacey Evans, but I'm sure that's gonna be either changed, not to insult her or whatever. But anyway, Jasmine Nix, this is the first time we ever see her in the match completely, But the one thing that was impressive is always because I'm a huge fan of this particular move because there was two people who can actually pull it off, and that is, of course, Kushida and AJ Styles. Because the one move that was far more deadly coming from Jasmine Nix, the Pele kick. Now, if you guys aren't familiarized with that kick, it's a move that you may have normally seen in soccer. I've seen it many times. I'm not much of a soccer fan, but I have played soccer and I have seen on many times on live television soccer players actually use that. But she pulled it off, and that kind of became her main finisher onto, of course, Laney Reed and give the win. Now, however, our next match, well, before that, we had Hank Ledger and Tank Walker talking about how things are now interesting. It turns out that Hank Walker is not cleared to wrestle, and of course, Sarah, our interviewer, try to get understanding what's going on. So, however, I think they're questioning how it's going to be different. Like Walker's not going to be involved in the match, but he will be outside doing support. So it's like more like they don't know how that works, but they have to go through Kale Dixon. Just to let you guys know, this match was pre-taped before that incident that took place in Raw. Was it Raw or SmackDown? Where Braun Breaker actually took him out. So you would think that's going to be a very interesting match. I have to say, Kale Dixon did a pretty good job in this match, even pushing Tank Ledger to his limits. But it only took like a Bubba Bomb by Hank Ledger, who grew up watching the Dudleys, to put away Kale Dixon to give himself a pretty good, impressive win. Now, I'm sure many of us would question, but we'll see more of him and singles competition. I mean, I would like to still see them, both Hank and Tank, get an opportunity of the tag belts. That's something I'm sure we want to see, but only time will tell. But as a moment, Tank leveled up, and we'll see what happens the next time. But as of right now, I think we're done with everything, and as I said, there will be no news updates, so let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, we got possibly Collision taking place real soon from AEW. This is the final show before we head to Double or Nothing. I'm looking forward to that. I'm sure we're all going to be talking about this whole thing, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to see what takes place. I haven't decided yet on any other reviews because right now I am on the verge of getting started with the discussion video with, of course, Starlight Kid. So that is something is still being in the works. But the topic of Starlight Kid is the possibilities of taking off her mask. I know what you guys are thinking. No! Well, we'll be talking a whole lot of more. But stay tuned for that episode. And stay tuned also for the next Unagi Sayaka Watch, which is going to be a lot of fun. So, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.